sure yet what that might be, but that's a question that we would need to try to answer to really think about the sustainability effects of that transfer or transformation to autonomous electric cars, right? And we really want to encourage you because, again, yes, it's important to think about distant, for instance, economic effects. We can work down that line, right? How would job losses lead down further to other kinds of economic losses or creation of capital potentially? But very crucial for us is also to think of across the pathways in order to try to discover these second-order effects. Yeah? We'll jump in.
Just one note. The first-order questions shouldn't be always a negative question. It can also be a positive case. So, because the three examples we have were always negative effects of the initiative, you can also look to positive effects of this.
Yes, I mean, so that's why we try to get you thinking about not only the cons, but also the pros. And there's still more detail to think about because we could think about the pros and cons from feasibility, that is to say, accessibility, the doability of a particular kind of project, design, initiative, system change, whatever, but then also the desirability. So how much do we want that? How much would that mark an improvement over the current situation? Yeah. So this brings me back to what we did with the guest lecture a little bit, what we heard from Michael de Pape, and also a little bit why we thought that was important, right? If you ask me, and hopefully you would care about that answer, but if you ask me what I think that you guys got out of witnessing that guest lecture, and we were very happy to welcome you here, but you really, according to me, and by the way, the videos are now available on Toledo if you want to go back and have a brief scan of them. But what you really saw was an individual representing an organization which is truly struggling, truly working, truly making effort to deal with the second-order effects of a massive systems change, which is in the name of a kind of sustainability. And I think at least some of the questions I heard confirmed for me that you guys were aware of it. Maybe you wouldn't have used the term second-order effects, but the questions that people asked here, some of them were very good, for instance, about what would happen to the culture of these small Flemish towns, which would be lost in his big triangles of urban transportation. What would happen to the economies in the center of Leuven through this kind of reshuffling? What are the consequences of, the political debate on his firm, Buur's ambition to radically transform the freedom that people now have in Flanders in how they build, where they build, when they build, and so on, right? And those are all questions that indeed are very much about these second-order effects, right? And I realize, and we realize here, that you guys are probably not planning on working on urbanization projects, although who knows, perhaps you will, right? But what's more important than that is not just, again, that topic of urbanization, but the very paradigm, that you can really see that it's not just us up here just spewing some bullshit at you like we're making this up, pulling it out of our ass. No, this really has a basis. There's really people on the ground dealing with these okay, maybe it seems like that, but there are really people dealing with these kinds of issues, really looking at things from different perspectives, and really ask themselves hard questions, not just about, okay, does the economic effect of this thing I do today have a later economic effect, and so on and so forth, but looking across these pathways, so to speak, right? And whether you think that our matrix is ideal or not is maybe a little bit besides the point. Our matrix is a way that we have devised to try to teach, to try to give you a way of modeling these interactions. Yes? But what was so brilliant about what Michiel came and presented is that he showed you another example of a matrix, the so-called sustainability compass, which Stan and I hope we can speak for both of us, are very much in admiration of because of its complexity, because of its great deal of nuance, because of its ambition and scope, right? And ultimately, you will have to come to your own decisions about what kind of tool, what kind of model you would like to use in order to think about these kinds of interactions, harmonies, conflicts, and so on and so forth. For us, it's already a big achievement if we can get you thinking along the lines of some or other kind of matrix like that. Okay, so I mean, there my sort of story about the course for today stops. This is what I think we've achieved, this is what I hope we've achieved, this is what I hope we've been able to make clear to at least some of you, persuasive to at least some of you. But now's the moment where we're open for questions. Does this correspond to what you guys have been seeing? Do you have questions about one or other aspect of the course so far? I mean in terms of the content now. Okay. So then we can go to my next objective for tonight, talking and thinking about the test for a moment. Do you have anything to add before we move on? First, let's deal with some practical stuff. So just to be clear with everyone, the test is closed book. The only thing that you need to bring with you, you don't need even to bring a calculator, the only thing you need to bring with you is some kind of writing implement. We'll provide you with everything else. Yes? On the other hand, as of today, you will have the topic, and we'll get to that in a moment, you will have the topic of the test. You are free to research it, read about it, whatever you like, as much as you like up until the moment of the test, but we don't want you to bring any actual materials to the test itself. Okay? The test will be comprised of open questions, yes, no multiple choice. You will be as a group, so hopefully this year we've solved the logistical problem that we had in previous years, so everyone can have plenty of space, that's to say at least one chair between you so you can relax, breathe, not be too warm. So you'll be split over 3 aulas. This will be one aula where people will take the test, and then also just across the street in the VHI building will be 2 more aulas. What you will need to do is to check Toledo. I will post an announcement for you guys where I say, okay, students with the last name, let's say family name beginning with these letters, go to that aula, and so on and so forth. Okay? The test is next week again from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. So you have 2 hours to complete the test. And should you be so unfortunate to get sick, please both send an email right away and you have to justify your absence. Practical questions? Okay, so what is the case? What are we going to focus on for the test? A picture's worth 1,000 words. Question?